What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Movies That Make You podcast. Season 2 is in full gear, and so we are super excited for what we got going on this season. Just to let you know what that means, we still have our weekly Prepisodes where we discuss movies to watch in preparation for a new release hitting theaters. I got my buddy POPpaGoss on those each and every week. Those drop on Mondays at 6 a.m. Also, we have our Creators Conversations. This is where we're interviewing people from the business and beyond to discuss what they do to create and how they create their art. We will be releasing one of those interviews a month, so be on the lookout for that on YouTube. We're also doing our monthly watch-alongs where we pick a movie to watch. We live stream our conversation while we're watching the film on YouTube. This week, we're going to be preparing for The Bride, and in order to do that, we're going to be watching a bunch of Frankenstein stories, and we're bringing our good friend back to the show, Horror Cat Dad, as we discuss these classics. We hope you also check out our website at moviesthatmakeyoupodcast.com. There you can see all of our social links. You can listen to the podcast. You can watch the podcast. We also have our merch store. You can find tons of merch for Movies That Make You and our friends. We also have a link to our letterbox where you can see all the movies that we watch in preparation for the new releases, but also the movies that make you laugh, the movies that make you cry, the movies that make you scream, and everything in between. So before we get to this week's episode, let's check out what we got coming up on the Movies That Make You podcast. Next week, we're going to be preparing for the Oscars by talking about the 10 nominees for Best Picture as we prepare to see which movies get the golden statue. And then on Friday of that week, we are going to have Alex Armbruster on for a Creators Conversation. It's going to drop at 2 p.m. We're going to be talking about his career as a stunt performer, all the way back to when he got started, all the way up to and including his performance in Frankenstein, which is nominated for 9 Oscars. So we're going to be dropping that for Oscars weekend. Join us. You don't want to miss this fun conversation. Then on that Sunday, March 15th, join Josh and I on YouTube as we do our live watch along of the Oscars. Hear our commentary as you watch the awards, and we can all enjoy them together. The week after that, we're going to be talking space movies in preparation for Project Hail Mary with Ryan Gosling. We'll be talking about a couple of movies where folks needed rescuing from space: Apollo 13, The Martian, and Interstellar. Check it out. The week after that, we're going to be bringing back our good friend, the Spooky Okie. We're going to be discussing films to prepare for Ready or Not, Here I Come. We're going to be talking about the first Ready or Not film, Abigail, and others. The week after that, we're going to invite Zeke on the show to discuss Super Mario Galaxy. We're going to be discussing a lot of films that have to do with Nintendo, characters, Mario Brothers, etc. So it's going to be a fun episode to have Zeke on. Hope those episodes excite you. So without further ado, let's get to the podcast. We are back with another episode of the Movies That Make You podcast. I'm here. My co-host is here, POPpaGoss. What's up, brother?
How is it going?
Going well, and we are welcoming back to the show our good friend, the Horror Cat Dad, Larry. What is up, my man?
Larry,
how's it going,
dude?
Thanks for having me
Good,
on.
man. Absolutely. We had so much fun on the Predator one. We had some really good action on some of those shorts. That was pretty cool. The Danny Trejo one went pretty wild. So that was cool.
It did.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
But we wanted to have you back. Josh told me that you are a huge Universal Monsters fan, so we're diving into some Frankenstein today in preparation for The Bride. Maggie Gyllenhaal, Jake Gyllenhaal, Christian Bale, and Jesse Buckley starring in that. It drops this Friday, so we're going to talk about some of the Frankenstein movies, not all of them, but some of them that have been released before. So. First off, Larry, what is it about the Universal Monsters that hits so right with you?
Well, I guess it's probably from when I was a kid. My first experience, I got I call them the orange books at my not local, but my elementary school library. I found them in the library, and I was just so taken aback by, I didn't know there were films, so I just kind of man, these are so cool and everything was black and white. So it wasn't like, kids today, they have to have everything in color. Like I was instantly one of those black and white kids, I took them home, and my mom, she saw how excited I was, and she told me that, oh yeah, these are movies. And I was, man, these are movies. And then, once they were on Turner Classic Movies, she showed them to me, and I've been a fan ever since,
That's awesome. I have to say, I grew up knowing of them, not necessarily as the Universal Monsters, but knowing them, Dracula, Werewolf, the Wolfman, Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Invisible Man. I knew them as kind of separate entities. And then later, I think it actually wasn't until it was kind of like that Tom Cruise Mummy was coming out, where there's a lot of talk about them kind of rebooting the Universal monsters, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that okay, cool." Um, and funny enough, I just recently started going back and watching those original ones. For Nosferatu, I watched the original or the 1930s Dracula. I had seen
Nice.
Nosferatu before. I watched the 1930s Dracula, and then for Wolfman, Lee Whannell's Wolfman last year, I watched The Wolfman, and now for The Bride, I've watched Frankenstein, and then later this year, in just about a month and a half, I'm going to watch Mummy for The Mummy. So, and you have so graciously said you're going to come back, so we're going to have some more horror cat dad, which makes life
Nice.
wonderful.
You
Josh,
can never have enough horror cat dad.
it's true. It's true.
You're too kind, Josh, my man.
And John, in my list of the Universal monsters, I think I skipped a very special one to your heart, though, didn't I?
Yeah, well, Larry and I share the love for the good old creature from the Black Lagoon. Actually, I won this as a giveaway from Universal Studios.
Nice.
But yeah, oh yeah, is
That's
that the
awesome, man.
glow figure?
Yeah, this
Oh
was
man, I love it. I saw that at we have this store here that sells mostly movies, but they sell Funkos and action figures too. It's called Vintage Stock. We have like 4 or 5 of them around town. And I was looking for some Catherine O'Hara movies on Blu-ray for cheap there. They didn't have hardly any of the ones I was looking for, but I saw that the creature figure, but I almost bought it, but the box was a little beat up and they wanted like I thought I can probably get it for cheaper on the online or something. But yeah, I love that figure. But yeah, creature kind of caught my eye not at an early age. I mean, honestly, not till the video store days when I started actually sitting down and watching movies and studying the early movies that had come out and kind of where like Hollywood started. I mean, we have the Universal monsters to thank in largely for like, creating imagination early on. And I know people when they came out originally probably were like they were probably freaking out, even though it's not like blood and gore or anything. But like in the 30s, they're probably like, "What the
yeah.
heck, blasphemy!" But yeah, I when I worked at the video store, I took a couple of the Universal monster ones home, and I'd always seen the cover of Creature from the Black Lagoon, and I love like I loved Alien. I had seen Alien with my dad growing up, and that kind of got me interested in like monsters and creatures and stuff. And then as time went on, I was like, man, you know what? I've never sat down and like watched the Universal monster movies. So I think I started with Frankenstein, and then I watched Creature from the Black Lagoon next, and that movie was so awesome just because I was like, man, they're like actually filming underwater, and they're like doing all this cool stuff, and he just looks so good, like for being such an early movie, like he looks so good. I mean, the makeup effects were fantastic, and it's just a cool one. I love I'm terrified of, like, the ocean and stuff, but I'm also so intrigued by it. So, like, documentaries and movies that take place in the water, I'm just like, "This is awesome, it's so cool." So,
Yeah,
I fell in love with the creature from the Black Lagoon, and, you can tell different movies, especially Del Toro's work, which we're gonna get into his Frankenstein in a little bit. You can definitely tell why he fell in love with the Universal monsters, and, obviously, Shape of Water was highly influenced by, so I love that movie just because it's pretty much Creature from the Black Lagoon as a love story, which is so cool.
definitely.
But yeah, I just found the monster itself intriguing, and then as I've gone on and loved movies more and more, I'm keep seeing, like, the fingerprint of the Universal monster movies and other works, so it's really
Yeah,
cool.
that's awesome, man. And speaking of Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, you said 9 Oscars, right? 9 Oscar
9
nominations.
Oscars, yep.
And we're going to be having kind of a little plug next week. We're going to be talking through all the Best Picture noms, and I've got 2 left to watch. That'll be a good time. But that's next week, so be sure to show back up here. But I did have I told you, Larry, that I had a treat to share on the podcast for this episode. I've been saving it. It is
Oh,
Dankenstein's
nice.
monster.
Yeah,
Yes,
That's
double
awesome.
IPA. It's a double feature.
that's so cool.
Nice. That's cool.
And then this one isn't opened, but this one is, and I got it like two Halloweens ago, 2 Octobers ago.
Nice.
The
Yeah, I
19
saw some of those.
Crimes Frankenstein cover, and it with the 19 Crimes, it's got the augmented reality where you pull up the app or their website,
Yeah,
and you like point your camera at the wine bottle, and it'll talk and move in your
Wow.
camera.
yeah, it's
So
pretty cool. They
all the
do
19
like
Crimes does it.
I forget which one they did there was a Walking Dead bottle that they came out with, and
Yeah.
I didn't the liquor store, wouldn't have known that without them putting like a note there, and they were like,
Mhm.
yeah, they're like, check it out, like pull up your camera and do the thing, and I did it, and like they had like a whole scene of like zombies coming out of the bottle and stuff, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
It's pretty
Like, what a
awesome.
Man,
great
that's awesome.
marketing tool.
I
It
almost
Yeah.
started. Oh, good.
no, I was gonna say I saw those at the grocery store, and I wanted to pick up those bottles because I mean, obviously, Universal Monsters fan. Wasn't
Right.
gonna open them or anything. I like the artwork because I saw the one for I think it was like the Bride and the Mummy and that Frankenstein one, and I was just like, man, these are so cool. And I usually I see something Universal Monsters, I want to pick it up, but I was just like, well, do I really want to get it?
Hopefully they'll have them again. You can go grab them. It's worth it. It's worth it.
Alcohol cans and bottles are tough because, like, I'll see some out in the wild, and I did have a bunch. I ended up just throwing them away because they were just taking up space. But I had like a Lord of the Rings beer that had like it was like gold limited edition, had like gold around it, and had the sword on the side.
Nice.
Um, there was another one that was like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but it was like a what was it? It was like a dark beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. And then obviously I tore the box artwork up, but my buddy Attack Peter, who works for Mondo, his Godzilla PBRs that came out recently, the
Nice.
boxes were only like $10 for a whole box. So I bought two, and then I was just gonna keep one sealed. But that didn't happen. So I kept one can sealed, and then I tore the artwork off to put it up on my stuff. So it's got a
Nice.
cool Godzilla. His Godzilla artwork is so cool. So
The most expensive whatever you call that movie paraphernalia alcohol I have bought is Deadpool and Wolverine gin.
but
American
yeah,
Gin, Ryan Reynolds Gin Company came out with a Wolverine cover and a Deadpool. Of course, they have the Deadpool cover all the time now, but they did a Wolverine one as well. And so I bought two. It was a pairing, and I have them
Nice.
they're just up in my closet because I don't want to just have alcohol like just sitting on my on them my shelf back here because you
If
never
I
know what kids might do in the middle of the night.
Yeah, exactly. No, if I had to say I want to get one, it'd probably be the Blade Runner 2049, Johnny Walker. I
nice.
would love to
Oh
find that. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, it's not gonna happen. That thing is like only came out back then. A buddy of mine, he said he found one a while back, and he got it.
That's amazing. Crazy, crazy. Well,
Good
cool. Well,
old
let's
Blade
jump
Runner.
into it. Let's jump into it. We're going to talk about Frankenstein, 1931, Bride of Frankenstein, 1935, Young Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and then Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro. And we'll talk through them as much as we can, just kind of having some good conversation. And then we'll call it a night and say we're prepped. We're ready for the Bride, even though it's not going to be anything like any of these, but it's going to be a fun time. Let me talk about a little bit from my experience watching Frankenstein the first time. One, I had heard about these characters before, but it didn't seem like any of them were accurate to what was in Frankenstein in 1931. And so I don't know if I just knew about Young Frankenstein's characters, even though I'd never seen Young Frankenstein, because I thought it was Victor Frankenstein was the doctor. I thought that he had a guy next to him named Igor, which is I know that's in Young Frankenstein, but it was Fritz in 1931's Frankenstein. And so I was just like going into this, I was going, this is not what I was expecting, but let's roll with it. So kind of the classic story, finds a dead body he wants to reanimate. All of them kind of have this character, Elizabeth, that's his love interest. Once they're engaged, and then he gets distracted by trying to bring the monster back. And then she shows up, his dad, the Baron, shows up, and then the whole town shows up trying to kill the monster because he got out. So that's kind of a little bit of the bare bones story. But Larry, what's some of your thoughts on Frankenstein 1931?
The makeup effects for Karloff, the way he plays it, I mean, for that time, the look of the creature, especially that slow first reveal of Frankenstein's monster is just iconic. Um, I think the way that movie progresses and how, I mean, it's pretty tragic if you think about it, because he's not really wanting to be a monster, and it's always just, I mean, it's just coincidental what happens, and especially what ends up happening to the little girl. Spoiler alert if anybody's hasn't seen it. He's just trying to play with the little girl, and he ends up you know killing her. And he's like, and then that's when everything kind of just starts going downhill after that. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just
for
really,
sure.
it's a the way he plays it, and the way it's just tragic, and just the way it ends and everything like that. It's just kind of like you feel for the monster, because it's just kind of, he's misunderstood.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that came to mind watching it this time is little Beauty and the Beast, kind of stealing from this story a little bit, with the townspeople going with axes and torches to try to take down the beast that they're scared of. Josh, what about you? 1931, Frankenstein. What are some
Yeah.
standouts to you?
So I kind of touched on it. Just finally watching it, like sitting down and watching it, and just noticing right away the imprint that it's had on Hollywood in general. I think that's really cool. And like kind of piggybacking off Larry, like I'm a huge visual effects person, as you all know. So like the makeup effects are just so cool, especially when you look at what year the movie came out. You're like, no way. They're like, they were designing cool stuff like that back then. Like that's pretty nutty, but it's awesome. I mean, it's so cool. And I think also falling in love with Del Toro's work, like his house, I think he just recently sold the big house that had all the cool stuff in it. But if you go on YouTube, you can like see inside that house, and he has like a huge Frankenstein realistic head when you walk in the door, and he's got like Linda Blair's like Regan, it like looks like a real one in his living room while he watches TV, and he's got Haunted Mansion, like big mannequins that look realistic. It's just like a house of terror that he lived in, and so to see somebody like that, like from another culture, even like the
Yeah,
Spanish culture, um, have such a love and using a lot of what the Universal monsters showed him in his films, like Pan's Labyrinth and Shape of Water, which we just talked about a second ago. And then now he got to do his passion project, which was Frankenstein, which got him interested in making movies in the first place. So I think it's a very pivotal film. I mean, all the Universal monsters in general, like as a whole, are very important, but I feel like Frankenstein is very, very important just because you see that story, like you were just saying, like Beauty and the Beast and different iterations, love stories, and you see that type of thing in a lot of movies throughout history. So I think it's cool that it started in the 30s and it revolves around monsters. Like, how cool is that? That you can go back and watch those and be like, oh, that's probably where this movie got kind of their idea from, or maybe they based some stuff off of this and then made their own version of whatever. So I just think it's really intriguing and really cool. So the makeup effects obviously are my favorite part of it. Just because for the time that they made those movies, like it's very impressive. But yeah, I think Frankenstein is a great one. Obviously I love Creature the most, but Frankenstein's pretty close up there just because of how important it is to the horror genre, to movies in general, and Boris Karloff is just so iconic. So
yeah.
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that definitely was, one of the highlights I put was the face, like, just the Frankenstein's face was just so perfect. Just a beautiful, beautiful creature, and part of that's hard to know, like I mean, of course, it's even having not ever seen the movie, like, that is an iconic, image that has permeated culture in such a way that it looked exactly like I expected it to, like, in this behind this like, way back in my subconscious that had created it from all the images that, I'd seen, but never seen the actual film. The big line that you hear a lot, and I think it's actually in, is it in I think it's in Scream, where they're watching Frankenstein, and it says, "It's alive! It's alive!"
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
line is in there, and then, yeah, so like I said before, like, the things that stood out to me was, like, these weren't the characters I thought they were gonna be. Fritz instead of Igor. Henry Frankenstein is the scientist, and Victor Frankenstein is either a cousin or something like that is what it kind of felt like. I would say Kristen had a good question because this ends up coming up later as well, and that either the person that the brain that they used that's another thing too. I'll come back in a second. But did the person that died and the brain they used die in a fire? Because he's scared of fire. He's not scared of anything else, but he's scared of fire. So I thought
Right.
that was a good point that Kristen wondered about the brain of the person that they used to bring to life. And then the other thing I think is interesting is that in Frankenstein 1931 and in Young Frankenstein, they both get the wrong brain. In Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, they get the right brain, they get the correct brain. It
Mhm.
wasn't like the wrong brain. I thought that was a good choice. And then because I saw Guillermo del Toro's first, I wasn't really looking out for these details. And so I don't know which brain he got in Guillermo del Toro's version. But I specifically recognized that in Frankenstein and Young Frankenstein, they both got the wrong brain, um, to bring back to life. So that ends up being kind of the cause of the damage, probably. Whereas in Mary Shelley's and Guillermo del Toro's, it's he's not as much of a like a out of control maybe monster than he is in the at least the 1931 Frankenstein. So anything else on Frankenstein 1931?
I was just gonna bring up just real quick about Mary Shelley because without her writing the novel, I mean I'm sure something would have been made eventually, but I just thought it was really interesting. She was like 18 years old when she wrote the novel, and I guess it was originally published anonymously. So her name wasn't even on it. But I just think that's pretty fascinating. Like, and then I think she entered into like a contest at the time, and then it got published, and then it became bigger than I don't think she had imagined. I just think that's really cool. But I guess she was what was it? She was inspired by she had a dream that a scientist was like bringing his creation to life, but he was just afraid of his creation, and then
Okay.
that got her mind going, and then she was researching like creation and how our bodies work and how you can recreate things and stuff, and that's how she came up with the book, or that's what I'm pretty sure I read. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering, just because of the time that the book had to have come out, um, if it was anonymous because she was a woman and then women weren't really like touted as
Oh,
being
right.
authors that would sell books, so publishers didn't really want there's another movie that kind of deals with that with Keira Knightley, called Colette, and her husband, I think it's Mark
Oh, yeah.
Ruffalo. No, it's not Mark Ruffalo, it's the dude from The Affair and The Wire. Can't remember his name, but he ends up being she's the ghostwriter for his books because his name will sell them, but she's the one really that's the good writer or whatever.
Yeah, honestly, if you fast forward, I mean, it's interesting to the parallels from that, and only the last what maybe decade we find out who the real designer of the creature was. It
Mm,
was a female. I'm probably butchering her name, Millicent Patrick. She was the one that did the original creature design,
Oh, yeah.
and
wow.
it's just interesting. You know what I mean? Like, so she
Yeah.
hit. she hid her name, Mary Shelley, and then Millicent. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. Um, Hers was buried for the longest time, and then all of a sudden it came out that she was the actual creature of it. And I love seeing those photos of her like actually doing the designs and stuff, or the designs and also the makeup of the creature. I mean, it's just like, wow, that's so cool. Like it's almost like another dimension, to it.
Hmm. Absolutely.
There was
Absolutely.
that brought up another thing I wanted to add to so they were doing Dracula in 1931, and they made like a 20-minute reel for Frankenstein on the sets of Dracula. And then I'm pretty positive that to this day they've never found that test reel. But
Wow.
that test reel was like what got they had Bela Lugosi, like, in he was the monster, instead of Boris Karloff, and, put, like, a 20-minute reel together, and I think there's, like, a poster that is out there, and that's the only way you can see, like, kinda what it was going for and what it looked like, but they said the 20-minute reel, like, that launched Frankenstein, like, I don't think they've found it to this day on any
Wow.
lots or anything, so pretty cool, but yeah, Bela Lugosi was the monster instead, so I thought that was interesting.
The other thing I was going to mention too is 1931. They have the opening credits, um, but they don't. They have a question mark for the creature, and so they don't give like Boris Karloff's name. They don't want to give it away of who the creature is. I'm sure he was already a name and a face that people recognize, whatever. But kind of like hiding it, kind of we're going to give you a reveal later. So that's pretty cool. So let's jump forward 4 years. We get a sequel. And believe it or not, while Frankenstein was being burned in a windmill, he didn't die and he escapes. And this one was really interesting to me. Um, Kind of telling more of the story. The monster is now like gaining knowledge and listening. He's being drawn by the violin. And I'm assuming that some of this is also in the book because of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein kind of dives into it a little bit. Um, and then Young Frankenstein also does too, with the bride, but then also the violin music and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I thought again the the makeup design, the character design, the beautiful, like the bride was just perfect. Like in this, there's that one shot. I think I sent it in the chat. I was just like, this is just epically beautiful. So yeah, Larry, take it away, man. Bride of Frankenstein, 1935. What are some standout things for you?
The music, the effects of the bride herself. It's interesting because it's like, um, it's really a lot of it has the monster, and then it's like she's kind of like later in
Right,
the film,
very end. Yeah, yeah.
So it's again that slow reveal as they're kind of taking the bandages off, and then like it's just you again with that iconic scene where she like screams when she sees the monster. It's just interesting, like it, I don't know. It's one of those things where I think that well, when I first saw it, it was just kind of like, again, you get that slow reveal and you see her and
Mhm.
it's just kind of like you see the bandages coming off, you see her eyes, and then not to mention like later on you find out it's like, oh, she's playing Mary Shelley at the beginning of the film too.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know if you caught that.
I
It's
didn't.
the same
Yeah.
actress at the beginning when she's talking to the two guys. She's playing Mary Shelley too. So that's
Okay.
kind of cool that they used her for that, and then later on for the bride as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the kind of the technical points that jumped out to me was how far the sound design had come from 1931 to 1935. 1931 sounds like an old movie. It sounds like they're recording the audio in a big warehouse. Like it was just like we had to turn subtitles on because it was kind of hard to hear like what they were saying in some of that. And then Bride of Frankenstein is like crystal clear. They must have kind of learned ADR, and started doing all of that or learned how to soundproof and stuff like that. So that was kind of a cool jump in technology that I noticed.
Well, there's
And then also, oh
another
yeah,
reason for that is because a lot of those movies in 31, they were basically the first talking films coming out of the silent
yeah,
era. So that's why, like, Dracula, for example, like, it's a lot of, very there's no music, it's just super quiet, and the
hmm
dialogue is, like, super, faint at times, and it's just kinda like they were still getting into that talkie movies, as they used to be called back in the day. So that's again, that's a good way to see it or point it out is that, yeah, 5 years later, look what we got with Bride of Frankenstein.
yeah, absolutely. Just real throwing out another movie that many of you may have not have seen is Babylon. Babylon actually is the story of that moving from silent films to talkies in Hollywood, and of course all the craziness of just being in Hollywood at that time. But that's kind of this like the running thread of the movie, and it's got a lot of funny humor when they're trying to record and figure out how to record and get sound, and everybody's like quiet on set. It's like every time somebody moves and rustles their shirt, they're like, "Oh, we got to start over." So it's just kind of a funny take on that. But Josh, how about you, man? What about Bride of Frankenstein stands out?
Yeah, so obviously, I don't know if the original posters were quite as colorful and like had their effect on pop culture. I think the posters kind of came later, like the vibrant ones and stuff. But I feel like the bride is way, even just in the movie, like the bride's look is just so like with the lightning bolt hair and all that stuff. I think it's more of a pop cult. It like entered itself into pop culture more with. Here, hold on. I'm gonna shut the door.
Sure, sure.
They're being
Yeah, yeah,
way too loud out there. Sorry.
yeah. That's fine. Having a good old time.
All right. Sorry. I'm glad they're having
Lennon's having
fun,
a good
but
old time. Yeah.
yeah, I know he's usually not that loud. I was like, "What are you doing out there?" But yeah, I think it's just more pop culture-y, I guess I should say,
hmm
of all the Universal monsters. In a good way though, like you can obviously see it's another example like Frankenstein, what I was just talking about. You can see the imprint in movies going forward. I think The Bride has done that as well, and you obviously can see what Maggie Gyllenhaal her version is kind of going for, and it's more pop. I mean, even like the font and
hmm
the first trailer, I was like, oh, this is like a like a modern, well, not modern, but like a mobster era version of the story, and just like looks very colorful and really cool. Um, but yeah, I
Side
mean,
note on
it's
that, sorry, I just saw the new trailer for that in front of uh whatever
the
movie I
Iron Lung.
saw this week. Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
it was and
I saw that one too.
he says, "The Bride of Frankenstein," and she goes,
Yeah,
"No, just the bride." And it was just
yeah.
like, "Oh,
And then
yeah, that's so cool."
Christian's, smirk in that scene too is cool. I had that same
Yeah,
trailer when I went to the Iron Lung too.
nice.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it looks fun. I'm stoked for The Bride. I hope it's at least, I think it's in good hands, but yeah, you can definitely see, like, Bride of Frankenstein kinda had its, mark for sure, pop culture-wise. I was gonna bring up, for the prosthetic, and everything for Boris Karloff for this one, it looks different, like, his face is more puffed out, I guess you could say, instead of, like, sunken in on his, like, cheeks and stuff. Um, and I guess he was against saying anything in The Bride of Frankenstein, but the studio turned him down and said, "No, you're gonna do this." So he had to kinda, like, redo all the stuff that he had worked to build the Frankenstein and or the monster in Frankenstein.
Original. Yeah.
And he had to, like, kind of not start from scratch, but that's why he looks so different in Bride of Frankenstein, like, just because he had to kinda tweak it to make the studio happy and, like, for him to tolerate whatever they needed him to do and stuff, so it's kind of odd, but, and they also I mean, it kinda helps because of the, um, surviving being burnt and stuff in the so they kinda, like,
Mhm.
in black
Yeah.
and white even, they kinda made it look more like
Yeah,
that,
the
that he
head looks different, and,
Yeah,
yeah, just the makeup is different, and yeah, not only that, but even in Bride of Frankenstein, they kinda have him doing more stuff,
yeah.
even though in the first one, he's just like this, like, lumbering
Yeah,
slow. Like he's doing more stuff in Bride of Frankenstein, and a lot of people will say that it's the superior of the two. And I'm wondering, like, I like it too. I think it's actually like really good, and I can't say which one I prefer more, but I think it's probably because I see Frankenstein do more stuff. I think
Yeah.
that's maybe why. That's just my theory.
sure.
Plus, I mean, again, the bride looks awesome. Like
Yeah.
she just pops off the screen when you first see her, like completely.
Hmm. Yeah.
She's also
I
just
was,
like Elsa is just like beautiful too. I mean, just like naturally, just she just had a really pretty face. So like that face being really pretty, but with this like crazy hair that nobody had ever seen, like it's just a very iconic like
yeah,
character in cinema. So it's pretty cool.
for sure. Yeah, I was going to comment on the action of Bride of Frankenstein because like in the first one he was strong, but in this one he's like ripping down doors. He seems smarter. He's listening. He's intrigued by the violin. I had to like think because I had just seen the Batman, and I was like, I recognize this song, and it's Ave Maria is the song that the violinist is playing, which is the same song from the Batman. That's kind of
Sure.
like this kind of through thread for the whole movie. And it's also a great classic, like, Christmas song. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. And he just kind of went over and just wanted to listen. And then kind of ended up the blind guy was able to kind of talk to him and invite him in, and he didn't know that he was a monster. I mean, there's even some of that stuff is stuff we've seen later in other movies, where someone will say, I don't basically because they are blind or because they don't have that sense, they don't see the broken person in front of them, and so they can just be beautiful because of how they are and their spirit. So there's some cool stuff with that. But yeah, one of the other things I wanted to mention on the visual effects was the miniatures along with the actual full size people. I just have that note here. I can't remember exactly which scene it was, but I felt like that was so well done to have like kind of like a green screen effect with the miniatures and the real people. So I thought that was fun. Um, yeah,
Yeah, the
cool.
sets too. I was talking to Spring the other day. I think we were just talking off camera, but the in Bride of Frankenstein, like that scene towards the beginning when the couple falls in the water, like they're in the waterfall and there's the big rocks and the trees and stuff. Like it's cool because I don't know if they were just starting to get where you could see more in the picture. So like the set, I don't know if the set was just smaller and then it just looked like it could be, huge rocks and water, an actual waterfall and stuff. But I thought that was really cool because they pan out and you can see like everything in the picture. Like you can see the tree, you can see the waterfall that they fall off into. You can see Frankenstein in the corner, and like I just thought that was really cool. When I rewatched it again the other night, and I was like, "That's really cool." I wonder if this was kind of around the time where cinematographers were starting to like, figure out that they could, kind of
Yeah,
zoom out and get the full picture, and which might have led to, as far as it's come today with all the obviously IMAX and stuff is on another level, but just getting the full picture for the audience.
Mhm.
So I think that's really cool. But I enjoyed seeing that again because I was like, oh, that's really neat for being a 1935 movie. Like that's pretty cool.
absolutely. Anything else for Bride, Larry?
No, I think that's it. I mean, I think I pretty much covered everything that I had to say about it. I think.
Sure. Cool. Well, we're going to take a little detour from the seriousness of these stories. We're going to go to Young Frankenstein. We're in chronological order. So Young Frankenstein comes out, Mel Brooks film, written by Mel Brooks and oh man, I'm blanking on his name. Um,
Gene Wilder.
Wilder.
Gene Wilder. Thank you. Yeah, written by them. Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder. And this is another movie I had not seen before.
Wow.
My parents were not like we watched some movies, but they weren't like the Mel Brooks movies. They were the
Sure.
Disney movies. And I mean, there's some stuff in this that for a kid is like, oh, that's a little racy for like a kid.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and
Yeah.
then by the time probably I
Love it.
was wanting to watch movies, I was wanting to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not some old black and white film, right? So, it
Right.
just never got on the list. And that's one of the fun things about doing the podcast and doing these prepisodes is it forces me, or it gives me opportunity and an excuse to go back and watch some of these films I missed. So being able to watch these Universal monsters is fun. And then also I laughed. I felt like George McFly in that scene when Marty's there watching TV at the dinner table. I'm sitting in the bedroom because my Roku TV's in the guest room, so I'm laying in the guest room. I've got got the thing going on. I'm just going
Slapping your butt off.
just laughing my butt off and all the silliness and all the ridiculousness, which is Mel Brooks, right? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But also kind of the backdrop being this story that I've now seen 4 times, kind of played in this kind of spoofy manner. It was like, this is perfect. It's nearly perfect, in my opinion, for being a great spoof. And these days you don't really usually get a spoof of one. I mean, it might be 2 movies by the, it's Bride and the original, but one story. Usually those spoof movies. Now it's like, hey, let's take the whole genre and just make fun of all of them. So that was an interesting take, but yeah, man, Igor, it's pronounced Igor. Are you sure? They told me it's Igor. No, it's Igor. Like kind of just so funny.
Normal
Wasn't
brain?
Wasn't your hump on the other side? What hump?
Yeah. What hump? Yeah. Yeah. Put the candle on this candlestick.
Yeah.
So great. And then
It's
he
too
sees
good.
the lady and you want to have a roll in the hay?
Yeah.
It's really fun. I think she's rolling in the
Yeah.
hay. It's like
Yeah. Yeah, no,
and then while
it's
they're riding to the castle, werewolf. What? Werewolf? Yeah, their wolf, their castle. Why are you talking like that? I thought that's what you wanted to talk about. So silly. So silly.
yeah. So yeah, it's goofy.
But this is the iconic like Igor that I thought I was going to see in the original 1931 with the hunchback and the but I didn't. He wasn't there. It was and so I was surprised by that. But yeah. Larry, what about you, man? Young Frankenstein, does it have good fond memories for you?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, the amazing King Wilder. I mean, he kills it. Terry Garr. I mean,
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's like she's playing the sort of damsel at some points, and in other parts she's just like silly, and in other parts like she's very elegant, but at the same, I don't know, man. She just does a great job, and and then also for the longest time I never realized that the late great Gene Hackman was the blind guy.
Yes.
Right.
I grabbed that. It took me about half the scene, and then I was like, "Wait a second, that's Gene Hackman." That's amazing.
Yeah, it's just like watching it all so many times as a kid, and then like finally like later on in life, I was like, "Wait, that's Gene Hackman." And then now when I saw bits of it again, I was just like, "Oh my god, yeah, you can clearly see it." But no, and it's again like you were saying, they spoof those 2 films, and it's great because they get a lot of the stuff. You see the parts that they're pulling from each film. Like the blind guy invites him in. There's that. I mean, obviously, like just the other stuff with the from the first film from Frankenstein, and I mean, it's just silliness all around. I mean, and it's everybody.
Right.
It's like they try to. You see Wilder trying to play it straight, but it's still. It's still Gene Wilder. It's silliness. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's great. The violin being a huge key moment for like a key through thread for the entire movie, because it's the violin music that draws them down to the basement, and it's the violin that kind of draws the monster back in when they try to capture it. I thought the trading of the brains was kind of funny, and I was like, where are they going with this? And then it was like, oh wait, they both still have their consciousness. Okay, that's cool. And then it's like at the very end, she's humming the violin song, and now he's the monster. But what did you get? What if he got? If he got some of your brain, what did you get of him? Oh, so great. What a great way to end Young Frankenstein. But yeah, the other moment I was going to say was the charades moment while he's being strangled. That was so ridiculous. So ridiculous.
I used to say
that's the Mel Brooks thing.
I used to say a lot as a kid too. It's pronounced Frankenstein. I used to say that to everybody after I
Why
saw that
isn't it
movie.
Froderick?
Yeah, Igor was great. Like he was the perfect
Yeah,
like
Marty felt. I mean, Gene Wilder's so amazing. I mean, everybody's great. You got
yeah.
Clorence Leachman. You got
Mm.
Peter Boyle, legendary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Peter Boyle.
Gene Hackman, like you were just talking about. I mean, he's not in it for very long, but and then Mel Brooks. I mean, that dude very rarely misses in his
Mm-hmm.
resume. So, I mean, I'll get into my Young Frankenstein now, but my dad showed me, like, we grew up, and this was still VHS was still the only thing around at the time when I saw Young Frankenstein. So I remember getting the like 20th Century Fox VHS copy. My dad picked it up, and he had seen it when he was younger, and I probably was the first time I saw it, I was probably between like 8 and 10, if I had to guess. I was a little kid, but I just remember my dad telling me like how much he loved this movie and how funny it was. And we sat down and watched it. And my dad, it's tough for my dad to rewatch movies. Like some of the ones that he grew up watching that he likes to watch, he'll watch them down the road again. But very seldom does that happen. So, my dad showed me Monty Python and showed me Mr. Bean and showed me all these like, mostly British comedy, and then Mel Brooks, obviously, like he showed me a ton of Mel Brooks. One of my dad's favorite movies is History of the World Part 2, or Part 1, I guess it's called. And I just I just remember watching Mel Brooks' Blazing Saddles, yeah, but Young Frankenstein's one that my dad and I always went back to, and when my dad gets cackling, laughing, like, it's addictive because he just has such an addictive laugh, and it's hard to get him to that point, but, like, I remember being a kid, we watched and Marty Feldman was just making my dad die, and I was laughing harder because I might not have gotten all the jokes, like, at a young age, but seeing my dad laugh his butt off and just Marty Feldman's, like, delivery of lines was funny to me as a kid.
Yeah.
Probably just because of, his eye condition or whatever, so it matched up with being Igor, so it was pretty funny. I'll never forget that scene when they get through the bookcase and they go down and they're they're going through the the heads, and he's like, "Tick-a-tick-tack, tick-a-tick-tack." My dad was like, pretty sure he peed his pants, and so I was laughing really hard because it was just so funny. Yeah, and then Marty Feldman, we were just talking about the hump, like, what hump? Like, I guess he would mess with people on set. So he was like ad lib a lot of that. Like he'd move the hump on his own, like the fake hump. So he would
Yeah.
like try to mess with people. So that whole scene I think was ad lib because Gene Wilder was like, wasn't the hump on the and he was like,
Yeah.
what hump?
I
And
just
then
remember the one where he's like, sorry, just the one where they're about to walk when he first meets him, and they're about to walk, and he's like, "Walk this way," and he bends over with that little cane and like walks down the stairs.
And he's like,
and he tells Gene to do it,
and then Gene like he gets halfway
Wait
down
a
and he's
second.
like, "This is stupid." You could tell on his face. But yeah, Gene Wilder said, I mean, he's had so many amazing roles, and
Mhm.
I think to before he passed away, he said Young Frankenstein's like his favorite movie that he ever did. And he
That's
obviously
cool.
had a close relationship with Mel Brooks as well. And then speaking more on Gene Hackman, he actually ad libbed the line. What is it? Um, I was gonna make espresso.
Yeah,
When he walks away, Gene Hackman actually ad libbed that line. They kept it
that's
in.
so funny.
Um, but
It's
yeah,
such a
just what a
random, like, a place, like, I was like, "That's so out of place," like, that's not period at all, like,
yeah.
they didn't have espresso that way.
Well, and I think Young Frankenstein is perfect, especially for our listeners. Like, if you haven't really seen a lot of these movies, or if you are not big on like monster movies or whatever, um, you're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. But young, but Young Frankenstein's like a good. It's just a fun movie, like to watch. It's a good like family movie to watch, and there are some adult jokes, but like overall, it's just so fun. I mean, I'm sure kids these days probably would think it was because the stuff they watch that they think is funny is we don't find
The
that funny, um, but yeah, it's
when
just a
Well,
classic. It reminds me of my dad, just growing up because like I said, my dad didn't watch a ton of movies like a second or third time, and he like showed me that personally. So like every time I see anything Young Frankenstein, it reminds me of my dad. So
absolutely. I was just gonna
no,
say that the one joke that just caught me off guard is like the big knock handle and Igor's knocking it, and then it cuts over to young Frankenstein with the girl, and he's like, "Look, wow, those are big knockers." And
yeah,
she's like, "Oh, thank you." Like,
what?
so
Or no, yeah,
goofy.
he says what knockers?
Yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say, I wonder if they the thing with the hump. I feel like they used that again in Robin Hood Men in Tights with the mole.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
It's like,
great call.
wasn't your mole on the other side? I
yeah,
have a mole.
yeah. That's another
Great
one too.
call.
Yeah,
Great
Mel
call.
Brooks was just, I mean, but his resume is just so good, and then Gene Wilder too. I mean, he left
Hmm.
Mhm,
behind a pretty iconic resume of films. I mean, all the a few movies he did with Richard Pryor, or
Hmm.
like
mhm.
Stir
obviously
crazy.
obviously Willy Wonka is
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, Young Frankenstein is a fantastic film if you are kind of just getting your feet wet to go watch The Bride.
And who would have thought that the voice of a snowman would get Mel Brooks out of retirement to do
Right.
Spaceballs 2?
You're right.
Oh,
Yeah.
pretty crazy. Josh Gad wrote a script for Spaceballs 2 and got him to come out of retirement. So that should
I
be
can't wait
interesting.
for that too.
Okay, so that's another one I haven't seen. I have not seen Spaceballs.
Oh my god,
Dang,
Yeah,
really?
yeah,
brother.
it's crazy. I told you I missed some of these.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
mean, yeah,
god.
Gotta go back
not
and
your
watch them.
fault. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
crazy though.
if
Spaceballs
you
is
if you
classic.
yeah, if you think Young Frankenstein, if you had so much fun with Young Frankenstein, oh my
You're
god, you
gonna
gotta watch
you might
Spaceballs.
not
You're gonna
survive.
die laughing.
Your heart's gonna fall out of your butt or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just gonna die laughing. I mean that film is just
That's awesome.
so everybody's in
You
that
better
in
put
that.
some knee pads on because you're gonna slap them a lot for sure.
Nice. That's awesome.
It's so
Well,
fun.
let's
Yeah, man,
jump.
I can't wait for
Yeah.
you to watch that now. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
We
Watching
might
that for
have to
the
do a
first
live
time.
watch of that, but like it might be just a kind of like we're just sitting watching and reacting to the movie and less talky.
That'd be
I don't
fun.
know.
Yeah. Man, Spaceballs is so good.
I don't know, man. I'd be quoting lines left and right just because that
Yeah.
it's so funny. There's so much
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
stuff in it.
Yeah,
That's cool.
And again,
it's
it's a
a
lot of those
good one.
random, those subtle, those. I mean, it still has that adult humor as well, but it's
Mhm.
like it's kind of silly and subtle to where it's like it could go over a kid's head,
Yeah.
or it's not like in your face, like so raunchy and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, but
For sure.
it is really good. It's funny.
That's awesome. Yep. I'm gonna watch it someday. Now I gotta find an excuse to watch it. But
Yeah, it's good.
um
It's really good.
well, let's go ahead and jump to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I kind of like what's interesting is I didn't look at the timeline of this, but Bram Stoker's Dracula came out in the 90s, and it really fleshed out more of the story that they didn't really tell in the 1930s version. I feel like that Mary Shelley's Frankenstein did the same thing with this story, where they took more of the book, it seems, fleshed out the characters, had a lot more to it than it did in the original 1930s versions. And we got Kenneth Branagh playing the Dr. Frankenstein, Robert De Niro playing the monster. That right there should be like A plus. Rotten Tomatoes didn't give it very good ratings. And so I guess it just didn't hit with audiences and critics at the time. Um, but has a different kind of similar story. We're following the same story. Towards the end, we have Helena Bonham Carter plays Elizabeth in this one, so she's the love interest, and then the monster wants to take her as his bride at the end. And there is some really cool stuff. I don't want to take it from somebody else at this point. We'll come back to it if we need to, but yeah, Larry, what are your thoughts on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein?
In getting ready for this, I got to rewatch it, and I did not remember it being as good. I actually liked it
Okay.
this time around. Because I remember back then a lot of people like Rotten Tomatoes was saying it wasn't that good, and I don't remember it being a big hit back, when I was younger. Heck, even rewatching it, I was like, oh wow, I don't remember this. So it had been a good while since I seen it, but the sets, the setting is
Mhm.
gorgeous. It was
Yeah.
shot really well. I liked the music as well. I thought it was really good. I feel it was a little too bombastic in some parts, but I still feel like the music fit with the scene. The other thing I didn't realize was the guy that stabs the one doctor is actually De Niro.
Okay.
Like when they're trying to give him the vaccination, like it's
Yeah.
actually De
Yeah.
Niro that kills him, and then they hang him and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh my god, man! I was
Just
like, is
never
that
picked it. Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was really cool, and then it comes around like that he ends up being the monster,
Mhm.
but no, all around, I thought I thought the performances were great. I totally forgot that Carter was in it,
Mhm.
Kenneth Branagh, I mean, it's Kenneth Branagh, he's a beast, and, I mean, De Niro as a monster, I thought he brought a lot of, like, tragedy to it.
Yeah.
Like, again, going back, they use that scene with the blind guy and how he's like, "Oh, thank you," and all this stuff, and then the family comes in, and they're, like, running him off and all this stuff, but it's like he saved that family when he pulled out all the food so they can actually eat, and, it's just because of his appearance, the son and the wife and stuff, like, it's just I don't know, it was really yeah, I was like, "Man, it was really, really good." I can't I can't see why people didn't like it, but at the same time, after Bram Stoker's Dracula, I can see why it didn't. I guess people were
Hit that
wanting.
same. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. I will have to say, you said Kenneth Branagh was a beast. In this one, I'd never seen him so beastly. Oh my gosh, when he is like having his shirt off, I'm like, when did you get abs, bro? Like, wow. Because I'm so used to seeing him play, just the more scientific or the smart guy. And this one, he's playing I'm the hunk. So I thought that was fun. I thought Helena Bonham
The
Carter was
locks.
Yeah, the
yes, yeah, the
locks. Yeah.
long flowing golden locks. Yeah. Helena Bonham Carter, I thought was really cute in this one. She plays a more subdued character than most of her others are very eccentric. Of course, at the
Mhm.
end, when she becomes the bride, she gets to flare out of that eccentricness. But up until then, she plays a very straight laced character, kind of subdued and wanting to be with her fiance, and him being distracted by the monster again. That was great. And then Oh, and this one I did mention earlier, but they found the smart brain instead of
Mhm.
like the other two kind of had him fumbling the smart brain and having to
Right.
deal with the dumb brain. But this one got the smart brain, which I think allowed them at least for the because maybe in the original book it was that did happen, but in this one, in order to speed up the fact that he's kind of getting smarter faster,
Learning.
they needed to kind of like, oh, we're just gonna stick with he got a smart brain this time. Bilbo Baggins is in it. I thought that
Ian
was great.
Holm.
Uh,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah, that threw me off too. I was like, "Oh, man,
yeah,
he's in this? I totally forgot."
yeah. And then I thought there was that crazy Temple of Doom moment towards the end that I was like, I couldn't think of the phrase from Temple of Doom, but I wanted to shout it, with all the slave children. Um, and then there was this like as I'm watching it and I'm watching them turn Helena Bonham Carter into the bride, I'm like, I just like audibly said, "Here comes the bride," and I was like, "Yeah, this is great, this is great." And then I'll just say it, the flame scene at the end was like the most epic ending I could ever imagine. Like that, it visually looked crazy. She's covered in flames, running down the hall, setting the entire entire hallway on fire, and then just setting the whole building on fire. Just like this is epic. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Just really kind of crazy to see the story that was told in 1930s told in a more modern, closer to modern. I thought they did a good job in the 90s for sure. What about you,
One thing
Josh?
I have
Oh,
to
go ahead.
say
Oh
before
yeah,
we,
go.
just to kinda go off on a tangent is, I would also suggest going and checking out that, film, Bride from the '80s. I think it's called, it's got, It's got Sting. He's actually Victor Frankenstein,
Yeah, I do remember that
and
one.
it's also got the girl from Flashdance as the bride.
Okay.
And yeah, no, that one's actually really good too. It's also got Clancy Brown as the monster.
Nice.
So it's pretty good. I mean, you should check that one out. It's been a while. Like, I need to go back and rewatch it. It's been a while, but I remember when I saw it, I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I
What you got,
remember that,
Josh?
I remember when that DVD would come in every once in a while because I, like, kept seeing the cover, like, people would trade it in, and I was like, "Is that freaking Sting?" I was like, "What movie is this?" Because I had never heard of it or seen it, but I just remember I remember it like, the cover looked kinda interesting, so I still haven't seen it, but it's on my list. I do remember when we would get it in. Uh but yeah, I think going back to like what it wasn't well received at the time. Um, Obviously, it has gone on to not. It's not a cult classic, but it's appreciated a lot more due to Arrow Video, like a big physical media distributor. Like they put out an awesome. I have the Blu-ray copy of that. They put out an awesome like Blu-ray disc of that. Um, and so I think people it took them a while to appreciate it, but I also think, like, Kenneth Branagh comes from the UK, obviously, but he's, like, from the Shakespearean way of doing things, so it's more pretty
Mhm.
much all the movies he's either acted in or directed have, for the most part, I would say probably like 80% of them have been Shakespearean in some way, and they're movies, but they're done in a way of like a theater production, almost like a
Yeah.
Shakespearean style. So I think a lot of times, especially back then in the '90s, like people weren't really into that style. They were into more grungy stuff and more, um, you know, just other things, and comedies were coming out in the mid '90s. Like comedies were bigger than they were nowadays for sure. So I don't know. I think it just took a little bit of time for people to appreciate it, even though it had some heavy hitter actors and stuff. Um, but one thing that did knock it out of the park was the effects team. I couldn't go without talking about the visual effects team. So, they were nominated. They were the only Oscar nomination the movie got was the makeup effects team, and it was Paul Englund. I think I'm saying that wrong. Daniel Parker and Carol Hemming, and Paul actually has two Oscar nominations. I I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie. It was Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan with,
No.
I think, was it Casper
Oh,
Van Dien? Was he Tarzan in that? No, I'm thinking of another one. Greystoke,
Grace.
Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan.
Hmm.
For some reason I was thinking, oh no, it was, what's his face?
Yeah,
Christopher
Christopher
Lambert.
Lambert.
Yeah, Highlander,
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Um So anyway, that it's not a terrible movie, but he got an Oscar nomination for makeup effects for that, which he actually shared with the legend Rick Baker. Rick Baker actually
Nice.
did the head of effects for Greystoke, Legend of Tarzan, which is so awesome. And for our listeners who don't know who Rick Baker is, he's he's one of my highest makeup effect people that I would love to meet one day, maybe at Frightmare, but he created American Werewolf in London, the famous, I think it's one of the greatest transformation scenes that's ever been made, but he's to thank for that scene. So yeah, this guy Paul, he worked with Rick Baker, and he's got a couple Oscar
Predator.
nominations. Which one? Well,
No, that was
Predator.
Stan Winston. No, that was
Oh,
Stan
well,
Winston.
but I think Rick worked on he worked on part of
The Thing.
I think well, no, not The Thing. You reminded me of something I can't remember off the top of my head, but um he did work. Speaking of Universal Monsters, though, Rick Baker did partially work on the Benicio del Toro Wolfman that came out,
Hmm.
Okay.
but then he got kind of pushed to the side, and they didn't really let him use his talents. They were going digitally at the time, and so like a lot of CGI, and he didn't really like that, obviously. So, but yeah, really cool effects team. Daniel Parker worked on Matrix Resurrections and Cloud Atlas with the Wachowskis. Cloud Atlas has incredible makeup effects. And then Chernobyl, the HBO series, which was really good if none of you've seen it. And then Carol Hemming, she seems to have worked with Kenneth Branagh a lot. She worked on his Cinderella live action and the Jack Ryan movie that he did with Chris Pine, Jack Ryan and
Nice.
the two agents or whatever. But yeah, really cool effects.
Shadow Recruiter,
Yeah, Shadow
something like
Agent.
that.
That was what it's called. Yeah. But yeah, Kenneth Branagh. I mean, he's been around. He gave us the first Thor movie, which I think is, other than Ragnarok, I think it's the best, one of the best Marvel movies, in the MCU. But yeah, he's just more of a Shakespearean type style director and actor, and I think people just don't always either want that or they just don't appreciate it as much as other people do. So maybe that was why. But I think, like Larry said, I think especially rewatching it recently, I was like, I forgot how, certain scenes are just so awesome, especially for the 90s. Like 90s was kind of coming up in the film world, like they were starting to get more and more cool practical effects, and Robert De Niro I think he looks great in the movie as well.
Well, even the period piece, like the set pieces, like it felt
so
like,
cool.
it did an amazing job. And then even like after that, like you were saying, other films in the 90s. I mean, just look at Braveheart. Just look at the castles, everything, the architecture, and that. Like, the set design was amazing. I was really, really taken back by the set design in this, and then it felt like that time,
Yeah.
I mean, it
No,
was
yeah,
like,
I love that type of stuff too. So, I think that's why I appreciate it more, just because like I know that those were pretty real sets. I mean, we didn't have all the CGI stuff we have today to like doctor it up. So, they were using actual like castles, like you said, or even like the outdoor stuff. Like, I mean, they probably filmed that out in a country where there's just heavy forests and a lot of grass and just really cool landscapes. So, I think it's a fun one. I think it's underrated, I'll say right now.
So I had to jump on here and check out Rick Baker because I had a feeling that he did something, and I remembered correctly. So one, you mentioned American Werewolf in London. That came out the same year as The Howling, so that's two werewolf movies. He then did Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Yes.
So that werewolf transformation, or that transformation, kind of piggybacking on that, he did Captain EO, which is the Michael Jackson short film that you could only see if you went to Epcot. I got to see it one time. It was so epic.
Yeah, it is
Then he did
cool.
makeup for Werewolf on a TV series. He did one of my favorite Wolf movies, which is Wolf with Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, yes.
in 94.
Yeah.
Love that movie. Love that movie.
That is a great film.
Batman Forever, and then Planet of the Apes, the one with Mark Wahlberg. He did The Ring, A Haunted Mansion, and then he's Hellboy with Guillermo del Toro. Wolfman, like you mentioned before,
The Grinch with Jim
Del
Carrey.
Toro. Yep, The Grinch. Yeah, so
you're leaving out a very important one with Eddie Murphy.
Go for it.
Yes, freaking 2008's Norbit.
Norbit. I thought you were going to say Nutty Professor. He did do Nutty Professor, Nutty Professor too.
He worked on Norbit, and he also worked on, I don't remember this having heavy effects, but Life with Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy. He did the makeup for that. Oh, he did. No, he did do Nutty Professor. He got an Oscar nomination. Yeah, 97.
It's crazy.
He did Ed Wood with Tim Burton.
Y'all are also forgetting. There you go. I was about to say that. Y'all are forgetting that one.
Cool. But yeah, his seven-time Oscar nominee. He's won. Let's see. He's actually won quite a bit. Harry and the Hendersons. He won. American Wolf in London, obviously. Ed Wood. He actually won Best Makeup. He shared it with V. Neal, who I think didn't V. Neal work on Batman Returns? I'm thinking of somebody else. Never mind. I'll go off on a tangent. Oh no, V. Neal. She didn't do the makeup, I don't think, for that, but I think she was Michelle Pfeiffer's stunt double for.
Okay.
She did a lot of the
I was gonna
Catwoman, action stuff for that, I believe, if I'm
okay,
not mistaken.
gotcha.
But
I did
anyways,
see that he
really
was
cool.
on Batman Forever also, so
Yeah. No,
but
Rick's a legend. I would, I mean, I have a lot of favorite makeup people like Greg Nicotero, um, but yeah, Rick Baker's pretty high up there just because I mean, mainly for that werewolf transformation scene. I think that's one of the coolest things that's ever been put on a movie before.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I would also, I would have to mention Rob Bottin from The
Oh,
Thing,
yep.
and
Oh, yeah,
The
for sure.
Howling. He did the transformation for The Howling as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Woodruff Jr. He did the effects for Alien 3. I mean, heck, he was the Gillman in the Monster Squad too.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I just
So
I
it's
that's the type of stuff that got me into like awesome makeup
Mhm.
effects and like practical just being practical. Like that's just so like artists making cool stuff. I mean, even Savini came up with a lot of cool
nice.
stuff. Like I've he's been at a lot of cons I've been at. I still haven't like sat and like met him yet. Um, but like he's important to makeup effects too. So there's just I love that kind of stuff. So it's fun.
Very cool. Well, that brings us to our final movie we're going to talk about tonight, and that is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, released last year. This one is up for 9 Academy Awards, we mentioned earlier. And be sure to check out our Oscars episode next Monday. And then also next week, Friday of next week, we're dropping our interview with Alex Armbruster, who was a stuntman in Frankenstein. So we are super, super excited for that.
He
Very excited.
actually
That's
shared
Oscars weekend. So.
yeah, he actually shares a story with everybody, so from Frankenstein, so can't
Nice.
wait for you guys
Yeah.
to see
So
that. Yeah, it's awesome.
oh, that was so fun. That was so fun.
Yeah, he
Uh,
shared a
but
lot of really awesome stories.
kind of list we won't deep dive. The story is very similar. Acting is I will say the acting is great. Superb. Oscar Isaac, Jacob Elordi, Mia Goth was great. Christoph Waltz, acting's great. The story follows very closely to I will say that the design, so in the original 1930s films, we didn't see the design that we see in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And it seems like as far as like the hooded kind of scarfed character, right? Like Robert De Niro comes on and he in some of the scenes he's trying to walk around in real life, and so he's got to cover himself up so he just doesn't get seen. They don't recognize him as the monster. Guillermo del Toro seems like he borrowed some of that also for his telling of the story. So Jacob's in when he's out in public or especially in the snow scene, he's covered up in a similar fashion. So I thought it was kind of cool that, and of course I don't know, I haven't read the book, so that's where I'm not sure if Guillermo del Toro is inspired by the films or if he's inspired by their source material. Either way, really cool look. I mean, Guillermo del Toro's fingerprint is all over this film, from the gothic romance to the visuals just being completely that kind of steampunk type vibe. It's just beautiful. Of course, we already talked about it. He did Shape of Water, which is a dive into kind of a Creature from the Black Lagoon love story. We already mentioned he did The Wolfman with Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins. So he did The Wolfman. Now he gets to do Frankenstein. It just makes you wonder which other Universal monsters will he want to play with before he calls it quits. But yeah, I mean, that's all I'll kind of say. Just really, really good movie. Check it out on Netflix. Watch it this week because it's amazing. So, Josh, how about you?
Yeah, obviously, I'll talk about the makeup effects for this one too, just because it's I don't remember the team that worked on it or anything, but it very well done. I mean, so cool. The look of Jacob Elordi is just so different. Um, I have to wonder if a lot of this movie was based solely on the source material, and then, transferred to the screen, for the first time. Like, I think the early Frankensteins we've got up to this point, as awesome as they are, I don't know if they match exactly what the story is kind of like. So Jacob Elordi just, he has a different look than any Frankenstein we've ever like. You see all the different body parts, like from his face to his chest to his arm, like they're all different shades of color. and just different body parts put together, which is cool. And he's got long hair, and it's just very different. And he's a tall. I think Jacob Elordi's like 6'5" already, so I think he's just it's really cool. But yeah, the makeup effects are awesome. Del Toro is amazing, and it's very poetic. It's just a really beautiful film. So that's pretty much all I have to say without spoilers.
Yeah. One of the other things I did see, and then we talked about it with Alex, is the ship that is a part of the opening scene and the closing scene. If we've seen Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, that's how this movie starts as well. But he completely built a full functioning, or at least a full size pirate ship or explorer ship of era, and it was just beautifully done. Alex mentions that they rehearsed for 2 months to prepare for that one scene. So that's all I'm going to give you from that interview. So go check it out. But yeah, it's just so great, beautifully done, just incredible. So yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. Well, Larry, thank you so much for joining us again.
Yeah.
So good to have you on the podcast, and looking forward to having you back for The Mummy, because I have not seen the original Mummy, as I mentioned earlier. So good excuse to watch that. And
it's Karloff again too.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
very
So
cool. Very cool.
I mean, you're going to see the parallels between, or not parallels, the range and difference between him as the monster and him as, as the mummy. I mean, it's
Nice.
pretty cool.
That is awesome. Excited for that. So yeah, guys, everybody go see The Bride this weekend. Go see it in the
Yes.
theater. Go to the theater, see it.
Port
Maggie
Cinema.
Gyllenhaal, Jake Gyllenhaal, Christian Bale, great cast. Jesse Buckley, who's on the rise. So yeah, check it out, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to jump over to our website, moviesthatmakeyoupodcast.com, see all of our links. Follow us on Instagram so you never miss an episode, a live stream, or an interview. And until next time, keep watching movies.